Today's lecture is the third, and it's Professor Prabhat Patnaik, who I'll ask to please come up to the podium. And Professor Patnaik's lecture is titled Gandhi, Technology and Employment. It will be chaired by Professor Zoya Hassan, who please come up to the podium. Most of you know Professor Patnaik, but I shall go through the formalities. Professor Prabhat Patnaik is an Indian Marxist economist and political commentator. He taught at the Center for Economic Studies and Planning in the School of Social Sciences at Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi from 1974 until his retirement in 2010. He was the vice chairman of the planning board of the Indian state of Kerala from June 2006 to May 2011, and he is now the editor of the journal Social Scientist. Professor Zoya Hassan is a political scientist. She was a former professor of political science and dean of the School of Social Sciences at the Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi and a former member of the National Commission for Minorities. Hassan's work has focused on state, political parties, ethnicity, gender, and minorities in India and society in North India. She is known for her path-breaking work on the politics of Uttar Pradesh and has also done extensive research on social and educational aspects of Indian Muslims and Muslim women. They are both actively associated with the Safdar Hashmi Memorial Trust, Sahmat, since its inception. And welcome both of you. And I hand over to Prabhat. Thank you.
What I do believe I have discovered in some of Gandhi's writings is a deep insight into the problem of unemployment, of a kind that you do not often find among professional economists, and you also do not find among many of his, or almost all his contemporary writers in India. Now that interests me as an economist. Gandhi relates, for instance, the issue of unemployment to capitalism, which he doesn't call capitalism, but at the same time, he also sees the link between unemployment and poverty. These are questions which to this day, professional economists shy away from or provide false answers to. So that interests me in Gandhi, and of course, needless to say, since Gandhi was not writing a tome on unemployment, he was not a professional economist. What I would be talking about is really, in some sense, reading into Gandhi a set of ideas, which are there, in my view, implicitly, but on the other hand, I would be reading into Gandhi a certain visions, a certain perspective. It's perfectly possible that one can look at other writings of Gandhi where he may well be contradicting what I am saying, but that is something which does not deter me, because I'm really interested in developing, by culling out of Gandhi, a certain vision on technology and employment, which I think is of great relevance to this day. Now, I believe that as a conceptual starting point for looking at Gandhi's views on unemployment, consider a set of petty producers, peasants, artisans, and so on, who are engaged in a process of simple reproduction or growth is taking place in a village community. Now, in such a world, there is no reason why there should be any unemployment, because one person's product is in fact demanded and consumed by the other person. There is an exchange taking place amongst them, and there's no obvious reason why there should be any unemployment. It is true that if such a simple village economy is a money-using economy, in that case it's perfectly possible that some people may decide to postpone their purchases of goods and hold on to money for some time. And in that case, even though we are in a very simple world, we can visualize in such a world what later has come to be known as Keynesian unemployment. Because if people hold on to money, then there is a corresponding reduction in the demand for goods. Stocks of these goods pile up, and if stocks pile up, then there may be a reduction in the production of these goods. Therefore, there would be some unemployment, or as Gandhi would have put it, enforced idleness. So it's conceivable that the introduction of money even into a world of simple commodity production of this kind is something which can generate unemployment, but there's no obvious reason. And this is something which Marx would have talked of in terms of a CMC circuit, and a break in the CMC circuit, because between the first C and M and the second C, people decide to hold on to money for a much longer period than they otherwise would have done.
Now, I've had the opportunity to read Prabhat's lecture, and hence I've had the opportunity to really write up my comments, which is just as well, because I'm neither an economist nor an expert in employment or unemployment. Now, let me start with Prabhat's basic point that Gandhi understood the link between poverty and unemployment better than anyone else. This is, of course, true. And therefore, it is really fitting that the National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, passed in 2005, is named as the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. I think it's a great tribute to Gandhi's understanding and profound insights, which Prabhat has so nicely told us about, into unemployment, and above all, as he points out, to the relationship that Gandhi saw between mass poverty and unemployment, which is to say, and this is really the critical point that I think Prabhat is making, which is to say that unemployment is responsible for poverty and not the other way around. And moreover, it is the state's responsibility to provide work to anyone who demands it. Now, 3 quick points on Prabhat's extremely stimulating and thoughtful lecture, which, as I just noted, highlights the relationship between poverty and employment, which, as he rightly points out, is often ignored by mainstream economists, who focus instead on lack of skills as a reason for unemployment. And Gandhi's wonderful quote that Prabhat just read out, which is that Khulna is starving, and actually I also noted that because it really so succinctly sums up the essence of the Gandhian position, which is that Khulna is starving not because the people cannot work, but because they have no work.